Yes, indeed, it's Friday night once again, just a wee smidgen after 9 o'clock. And as always, you know what that means. It must be time for that Friday feeling here on the Boys on the Bus. Welcome along, everybody. And it's a big one this week. It is, usually when we get to these types of season-defining games, it's always a game against Rangers. But no. Top of the table clash awaits us this Sunday. A wee trip to Tynecastle to play Hearts, a team that many of us said, they'll never last. They'll fall away. Here we are at the tail end of January, and Hearts are still very much here. They currently have a perfect record against both us and Rangers, and they're 6 points in front, and it's safe to say we cannot afford many more slips. Could be 9 points, or we could narrow the gap to 3, but yeah, we'll be talking about all that tonight. We'll also get the opinion as well on the Bologna game last night. Obviously a very, very good point. All things considered, and hopefully we can keep that momentum going, and yeah, a bit of just general chat as well, what's going on in the world of Celtic. But as you can see, folks, joined again by a triple threat of Tim's tonight, and of course he's always here. He is the wise man in the bus. He's Canada's favourite Tim, the beard of knowledge himself. Liam, how are you doing, sir?
Doing good, right? Good. No klaxon tonight. Good reading the what's going on here on the bus, but aye, all good, lovely, sunny. I mean, I don't think it was grey as this. It's the sun coming in, but I'll go with
it. It does look a nice day in Vancouver. It really does.
I say sun's scorching the day. It's a cracker. Yeah. So as soon as this done, I'm away out. Friday. You know what that means.
Get that Friday feeling, mate. That's it.
Aye, your old dad will be getting that Friday feeling thanks to the people at Labatt's and Molson's and maybe the Guinness family.
Vancouver, look out. Liam's on his way. Right. And Johnny, you're back as well. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all good, yeah. Had myself a little trip up to Glasgow and back today, delivering a car for BMW, and then back here to do this and talk about a decent result last night and what could be a rather nervy weekend.
It could be, yeah. As I say, normally when we get to these season-defining type of games, title battles, it's usually Rangers that are on the other side of the park against us, but no, it's Hearts. They're very much here to stay right now, and it's up to us to try and dig ourselves out this hole that we find ourselves in, and we will we'll get talking about that during the show tonight. And before we do that, though, let's do all that good stuff. Let's get that out of the way, and of course, let's get the trivia question out of the way as well, because I brought that back last week, so I've got another wee teaser as well for you folks, so we'll go through all that. So hit the old like button first and foremost, help the old Boys in the Bus out on the algorithm, CSC algorithm, so that more Celtic fans and people who like podcast-related content can see us. We'll be recommended to them more often, the more interactions we get. Of course, you can get involved in our comment section tonight, like many people are doing already. Let's see who is in. 420 somewhere is here. Paul McFarlane is here. Joe Henry is in. Ian McIntosh. Graham Tyrrell is also in. Jim Dolan. Ian is here. Who else have we got that I've not shouted out yet? Keeps going up. Oh, well, Liam, you're here apparently. There you go. You're in the chat as well. Gav Boy is here as well. Spell the Glove is in. Jim C is in. And I think that's all. Thomas Burns is here as well. So I've shouted at everybody, I think, so far that's left a comment. But yeah, leave your comments throughout the night. Let us know how you're feeling about last night's game, the performance, a few of the talking points in that. Austin Trusty, an absolute colossus at the back. Rio Hitati, silly boy. Kasper Schmeichel, a return to form, perhaps. We'll discuss that as well. And let us know how you're feeling ahead of playing Hearts on Sunday, how you think that's going to go. Get involved with that tonight. What else can you do? Of course, you can share the link of the channel. If you see a tweet promoting the show, then by all means hit the old retweet button on Twitter. And yeah, what else can you do? Oh yeah, if you want to become a Boys in the Bus member for $1.99 a month, totally optional. Again, all our content remains free. Never ever going to be behind a paywall, but sweet off of the cap to the team. Helps us out massively. Keeps the diesel in the tank. You can do that as well. And yes, subscribe if you wish. So if you like what we do, then keep us in your life that wee bit longer. we've got over 1,500 subscribers. It's motoring along very nicely. But yeah, the next landmark would probably be 1888, I think. 1,888 with the next landmark, then 1,967, and then 2,000. So yeah, we just keep on motoring along. So hit the subscribe button if you've only just discovered us, and hit the bell notification to be reminded when we are on the road. And how about a question? How about a trivia then, guys, to get us going? We'll come back to the answer at the end of the show. So tonight's trivia question is: can you name the 3 Celtic players who've scored on their debut at Tynecastle this century? So they go from the year 2000 to present day. There are 3 Celtic players who made their debut for Celtic at Tynecastle, and they scored on their debut as well. So there are 3 of them. We'll come back to the answer at the end of the show. And yeah, but that's it. Let's get motoring on. Let's get into it. So Liam, obviously you couldn't make it the post-match last night. You did call up something else. And Terry, well, he just motored on and did a fine job of it, as he usually does. But Liam, let's get your thoughts then on the Bologna game last night. Terry obviously said, echoed, I think a lot of fans have felt this way about Europe this season. It's a bit of a distraction, but we've put ourselves in a good position to continue on. There is that whole stigma of we haven't won a knockout game after Christmas for 23 years. Could it maybe change this year? Could Martin O'Neill be the guy to come back after all these years? He was the last guy to do it in 2004. Can he come back and do it now in 2026? Because we've put ourselves in a position now where we beat Utrecht next week. We're in the playoff round. So what did you make of the performance last night and how you're feeling in general going into the last game against Utrecht?
Game of 2 halves, that. I mean, you couldn't put it any better than that. First half, I was absolutely delighted. I was thinking that's the best worst half that I've ever seen us have in a long time. And then the second half, it was like hide behind the couch time. And they just managed to keep it out. You said it earlier, and Terry said it last night. I thought Trusty was colossal, unbelievable. Yeah. This is a guy that Rodgers couldn't find a place in the team for. I thought Scales was back to his best. I think they two look really good when they're defending. When given too much time and having to carry the ball out and things like that, it's no their game. But like diving in front and just being heroic. Last night I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I read earlier, like somebody asking if there was a klaxon on Hatate or Schmeichel. First of all, I thought Schmeichel played out his skin last night.
It's a great game.
The second goal, at first I was very harsh jumping on him, thinking, come on, just move for that. But then again, you can't see it. And that's a lot of the refereeing as well. I thought the referee, he's a first klaxon. That referee, I thought he was terrible. Terrible, just to the like the one on Diaz and Maeda before the one that Yang had a shot at goal. I thought that should have been looked at least. And then same with the one on Schmeichel as well. Was that guy interfering with play? I think he was. I think he was in an offside position and it got swept along very, very quickly. And I hate to see that in Europe because there's been so many times where we have been punished for something that seems really innocuous, and I'll put Hatate in that category. I thought the first half Hatate was playing really well. The 2 fouls that he committed to get the cards, they were stupid, but they weren't very much the dark cards. And I'm not going to criticise somebody playing against Italian teams where you got all that. And the biggest mamma mia, mummy's Italian boy running to the ref complaining was a Scottish player.
Actually,
No, I thought we'd done away with that. I thought that was a yellow card. I thought any time that you approach the referee claiming, trying to get a player carded, that was going to get a card. So there was a lot of rules last night that seemed to be put aside, where it didn't seem too much like a European game. But he should be embarrassed with himself looking for that. I thought Hatate was unfortunate. It was stupid. It was very much the dark arts fully in play. And, that's one of these things where we still have that. We're still naive when it comes to that. But I don't want to see us throwing ourselves out of the place and being that team, looking for stuff out of nothing and all that. Let Rangers do that, or let Lewis Ferguson. That seems to be in his blood. And Yeah, I was quite proud of the team last night. I don't think Brendan Rodgers would have got that result. I don't think Nancy would.
Oh, it
been
certainly
anywhere near
wouldn't
that
have under
result.
Nancy. Oh, no.
And but yeah, well done, Martin O'Neill, Sean Maloney, and Mark Fotheringham. They're continuing to get the best out of this team, and even when our back was against the wall, we still found a way to get out of there with a point. If you'd have asked me before the game if he would be happy with a draw, with the current team selection that we have now, I would have said yes. And yeah, I'm optimistic. I think people are saying it's going to set us up. We might be exhausted for Sunday. No, I think it gives us a resiliency. I'm looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, I think so as well. I don't think you can read too much into the whole, they played on Thursday night, they ran themselves around. We've seen examples against us, in fact, in recent years where Rangers played on a Thursday night. They went all the way through extra time, then played us the Scottish Cup semi-final on the Sunday, and by the end of it, they actually looked the fitter team. We were blown out our backsides that Sunday, so I don't read too much into the Celtic will be running into the ground, they'll be tired. It's the professional footballers at the end of the day. We're not even at the end of the season, we're in the middle of the season, so I'm not too concerned about that. And I do think, Johnny, that a result like that just it can lift the spirits, it can change the mood music, because let's be honest, the mood music's been absolutely terrible at Celtic this season. But yeah, a result like that definitely will go a long way. And Martin O'Neill still producing the magic. He's already got as a result in Rotterdam. We are beating Feyenoord, and that set us up to be in this position. Obviously, that result really counteracted the loss to Braga earlier in the competition. And yeah, now we've put ourselves, as I say, in a great spot now to go and obviously win next week. But are you afraid of the return of Vasilius Barkas next week, Johnny? Is he going to have the game of his life next Thursday night, and we're going to need to win? And he's going to just pull off his I said this to Terry on the Auckland like Talbot post match, and he said that he'll probably pull out more saves next Thursday than he did his entire time at Celtic.
I don't know about him actually, because I was listening to one of the pods last night after the game, and no, I think it was before the 8 o'clock kick was kicked off, and apparently I think Utrecht are pretty much they're out of the equation now. They've only got.
Yeah, they're out. Aye, but do you think I think Barkas is still going to play? I'm worried he's going to have the game.
He played last night, did he?
We did because he didn't. Right, okay.
Well, I'm sure I was listening. I think it was on Radio Scotland before we watched after the Celtic game. I was listening a bit at the end, and I'm sure they said that Utrecht had pretty much chucked it, and they'd made a raft of changes for the Europa League because they're not doing that great in the Dutch league either. And I'm sure they said that Barkas wasn't playing last night. I think they were pretty much saying. So whether they're going to do the same again next week when they come to us, obviously got no idea. I've got no idea even really until last night how Utrecht are apparently doing in the Dutch league, because let's face it, they'll keep an eye on it. But we talked about last night's game. I think all I can really do is echo what Liam had said there. I think two things I would add to it. We talk about you were talking about the dark arts there, Liam. I think if Ittai had really been playing the dark arts when he was running and the guy put his arm out, Ittai would have just went down, and done nothing else, just gone down, trying to win the free kick. Like I say, I think, the booking and that, the fact it was so quick after the first booking, I think is what influenced that. If that happened just before half time or in the second half, I'm not sure he would have got the booking, but I think because it was so quick and fresh in the memory after the first booking, I think, which by the way, Tati didn't need to do what he'd done there either. I mean, he was just stupid. It's out of the touchline, there's nothing happening. He's pulling Ferguson's shirt, and then he takes the legs away from him. Absolutely no need for it. But yeah, so I agree, as I said there, I totally echo what Liam said, but I think if we're going to talk about Trusty, I think Trusty last night and in the game last year against Atalanta, I think he showed why we bought him, and he spent most of his career, certainly in England. I know he was at Arsenal, but he never played for Arsenal. He might have had one or two games, but he played for Sheffield United. I think he's a backs to the wall defender. I think it's the type of defending he likes. because I think his 2 standout games he's had for us have been in Europe in those type of matches. And Liam, you said it was a game of 2 halves. I think we could all, I think everybody watching us tonight would have all predicted how the second half was going to go. It was always going to be a back to the wall. I think Martin tried to change it in the last 5-10 minutes to see if we could just sneak a goal. I don't think he wanted to do that too early, but he brought on Johnny Kenny in that, and we did actually look like we looked more likely to score in the last 5 to 10 minutes than we had done the previous 35.
It was weird because we were proper backs to the wall for about 35 minutes that second half. The last 10 minutes, it was almost like Bologna had kind of calmed down as well. It did go like that.
But I think Martin wanted that was. I think that was. I'm not saying it was always the plan because obviously we were 2-0 up at half time. I think once we got back to 2-1, I think Martin's plan was let's keep it. If it gets to 2 each, then we'll try and nick it in the last 5-10 minutes. But Schmeichel, I thought, was brilliant. I know some people have blamed him for the second goal. I think he was just purely beaten by the. I think, like you said, Liam, his line of vision was maybe slightly blocked, but I just think the pace of the ball was just. I mean, it was. I think the commentator on the telly just said, "You're not stopping that." I mean, it was. It was well hit, and I actually more thought the team as a whole were at fault for the equaliser because as soon as that ball got put out to the guy who crossed it, was that?
That wee boy Jonathan Rowe, he was dangerous all night on inside.
Yeah.
He was...
And as soon as it went out to him, and he had the space because I think Tierney had been sort of pulled into the centre. He was he started to come out, and I'm thinking there's a big gap there. And as soon as it went to him, I thought, here's a goal coming. You could see it. It was one of them ones where you could see it before it happened. You knew it was coming. I think Schmeichel actually got his hand to it, didn't he? But it hit him, but he didn't manage to keep it out. But
I don't know. He's thinking he threw his arms up in the air as it came towards him.
Yeah.
But there was one save in particular in the second half, and it was so nonchalant the way he did it. He just kind of batted the ball away. It came through, it came flying at him, and he didn't catch it. Didn't try and he just went and swatted it away.
I was just about to say about that goal because when it happened in real time, and I was watching it. At first, I thought it just hit him in the chest and bounced away, and I actually thought Schmeichel actually done well to stand up and not get blown over by that. But then when you seen the replay and the way he just sort of batted it away like that, I thought.
And I thought when Bologna got the first goal, me and my dad were watching it with the angle of the camera was at. I thought Schmeichel would actually saved it because the guy heads it and he gets an arm it, and I thought the way the ball had moved, I thought it was bouncing past the post, but no, it dipped in obviously at the back post. But he had a great game. It was good to see him sort of back to. Not his best, but definitely considering his form where it's been for the last God knows how many months. It's good to see him have a game last night.
Well, you wonder how much of an influence his father showing up at training was for that. Sometimes you can take all the goalie coaching and that you need, and his dad was a prime example of a cracking goalie, and maybe he just needed that. They seem to have a brilliant relationship, the two of them, and sometimes it just needs a father's word in your ear and saying, "Listen, I've been watching the bus, and you've been getting slagged up, bucket pumped up warlord. So get your stuff in gear and that." And he looks like he's had a word with him, and I'd like to think maybe that's the case. And all you fathers out there, have a talk to your boy now and again, and all you young pups out there.
Go on, Casper, you've got the klaxon against you on the bus. You need to sort yourself out, son. But no, he's played well. Obviously, last night I think he's been looking a bit more stable recently. But I'll say it tentatively for now because we know how his form has been for the last few months. But obviously, Kieran Tierney get mentioned. Liam, what about Kieran Tierney taking the corners, mate? What do you make of that? And then actually, it paid off. A set piece move where Arnie Engels made the run across the goal, got the wee header at the back post. And Big Austin Trusty was there to stab it into the net. But Tierney on corners, there's an idea, mate.
That's something, what you want to see your big guys in there getting involved in. And Tierney looked great on that corner. He nearly had a second set piece as well. That long throw in he has, my God, that's a bomb. That's it. He's launching it into the 18-yard box, like well past the line. into the danger area, and we nearly had another one that Johnny Kenny sclaffed it later on in the game. It was probably our only chance, but we could have won that game as well. And when you seen Tierney lining up for that throw-in, my God, it was like a projectile. He just launched it, and I think that's something that we've not been using. We've done these wee stupid throw-ins, or sometimes, we never seen a team lose possession so many times to their own throw-ins because, well, it's just sort of gambling with it. Where here we've got this asset that we're not using. So I'm hoping that's another thing that Martin's identified. And it's like, yeah, when we're leading a goal, let's take a chance. Let's get the big guys up in the box, just like the corner, and start using that so that we can start scoring more enough set pieces. Because if we start scoring enough set pieces like that, we'll win more games. God forbid our strikers aren't putting them away. So, let's see if we can get some of the big guys up in the box and that to sort of do what Engels did, which was a brilliant, he done well. He headed that across, and Trusty knew exactly what he was going. We've got Trusty, we've got Scales. This new boy that's coming in is a good height.
6'3", yep.
Aye, let's start using him.
Yeah, indeed. No, Engels is a tall player. I know he takes a lot of the set pieces, but yeah, get it in the mixer and you say get your tallest players in there. That wee knock on that he won, and yeah, just felt Austin Trusty back post, right thing. But I wonder as well, Johnny, is this like the hallmarks of Big Fozzie and Sean Maloney? Because there was a story this week as well about Tynecastle came out and just said that he's absolutely loving working with Big Fozzie. And when he scored his goal last week against Auchinleck, when he ran over to celebrate, he made a beeline for him. A bit similar to something we saw a couple of years ago when, I want to say, Lewis Palmer scored a great goal up at Dingwall and ran right to Harry Kuehl, who was on the bench.
No, it was Maeda.
It was Maeda that did it. I remember somebody ran to Harry Kuehl up at Dingwall. But and it's like, it's not the manager they've ran to celebrate, it's one of his coaches. And but to next, I wonder if with the set piece moves in that last night and a few wee things that we're seeing, this is the workings of Sean Maloney and Fozzie and McManus.
It could well be, and it was interesting last night, like you said there, Liam, Tierney taking some of the corners, because it was about time we mixed it up and he was taking the corners. I mean, the same guy taking the corners in any team, doesn't matter what team it is, the defenders get to know where this is going. And I'm one of these ones that, and I don't know whether it's, I'm not being convinced that, everybody goes on about Engels takes a great corner, a great dead ball. And I've never been convinced of that, to be honest with you. I think I wouldn't go as far as say it's a myth, because it has been one or two.
It's very 50-50. He does get one from time to time.
What the guys in the middle in the penalty box doing, if you haven't got either a big centre half, which we had back in Martin's day, or a big centre forward, which we also had in Martin's day, then sometimes these good corners are good looking, which could be a good corner kick or a good dead ball into the penalty box. They don't look as good as they could have been because the big guys, there isn't a big guy there to get on the end of it, or the big guy that does get on the end, it tends to play for Ross County or St Johnstone or Dundee United, whoever it is we happen to be playing on that any given game. So yeah, but you should always be looking to mix things up. And yeah, I've been reading a few things about the new guy. I'm really going to try and pronounce his name.
So I believe, right, first when I saw his name, I thought, well, being from Czech Republic, the C at the start is probably silent, so I thought it was Van Cara. But I watched his, actually, for my sins, and Liam, don't hate me for this, I did watch his interview with Jerry McCulloch. I did sit and watch his generic.
And you just playing bingo though, Liam.
I was. I mean, he did wheel out some of the classic hits. He talked about, other Czech players that have played for Celtic, like Yuri Jarosik and all that. He dropped names like that in there. But anyway, he did ask, the final question was, so how do you pronounce his name? And funny enough, me and David Logue were talking about this last night, and we're like, I still can't understand what he said, but I believe it's Van Chara. I believe it is. It's like the C at the start is kind of pronounced, but I'm just going to stick with Van Chara because the C and the V at the start is just it's too much for me to comprehend. So I'm just going to go with Van Chara. But yeah, that's how I believe it's pronounced, or close to how it's pronounced.
Will we just go with Big Tam?
Big Tam, indeed. Yeah.
Or Shuggy.
Aye, that's a good one.
That's what we used to do back in the day. Like,
who was Shuggy again? What was the player?
Johannes Edwardson.
That was it. Yeah.
He's the first one I remember. There might have been one before it, but he's the first one I remember. Big Shuggy for Iceland.
But with him being a big lump as well, then yeah, hopefully we can utilise him. He played his strengths. I don't imagine sideways passing for 90 minutes and the old horseshoe of death is going to benefit a 6'3" striker. So yeah, we need to try and get it in the mixer to him, Johnny.
Well, if we go back to we spoke about it 2 weeks ago when I was last on me. We spoke about Henrik with his pod with Phil Neville in that, and he said, you know, back in his day, he said Martin kept it quite simple. He just liked the balls out the wing and then into the box, you know. And he said at the time on that show, he said, I had people who done that for me. They put the ball in the box for me. So I think hopefully that's where we're heading again in the last 16 games of the season, whatever it is we've got.
That's it. That's what we need to do. You know, we can't just keep on doing this sideways passing and just try to wait for an opening to come, because if teams just stay rigid, then yeah, we've seen what happens. We run out of ideas. So hopefully, big striker up top, a different dynamic, and we can employ his strengths. And in the presser today, Martin was also asked about Van Chara, Big Tam, how he's trained and is he going to feature? And yeah, Martin left it very open and said, yeah, there's a good chance he's got one more training session tomorrow and he'll judge it then. And for me, I think starting. I think if you get 60 minutes out of him, I say go for it, because Hearts won't have prepared for him. You know, they'll have watched us for the last few weeks and whatnot with Johnny Kenny, Maeda, so they'll kind of know what to expect. But I say he's an unknown quantity. So for me, I'd say starting. That would be my answer on that one for the Tynecastle.
Well, I totally agree. I want to see him starting. I mean, you know, they've not figured him out, but everybody certainly figured out Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny is the easiest guy to figure out on the planet. You know, he's just been terrible. He's been so off it. I mean, last night was one of his better games, but you know, he still sclaffed at that one where he, you know, a wee bit of composure. He might have put that chance he had by tearing his throw in. And there was another point as well where he had Maeda. All he had to do was square the ball to him, and Maeda would have scored. I don't see any purpose in starting Kenny whatsoever. I think, and I'm hoping what you might see is the new boy to Franchara and Nacho.
Graham Tyrrell's just said Johnny Kenny injured. Martin O'Neill did say that, but Ian Atchell did train. So Ian Atchell could get 30s, as Graham Tyrrell said there. So that's a shout.
Well, that gives us another guy that Hearts don't really know a lot about. And I think that sort of, and again, I think the team needs freshened anyway. And I think just having somebody to score, and as you say, we've had a great habit of Bhoys scoring against Hearts in their first games. And I'm hoping he becomes the fourth guy that makes that list. Guys are still thinking who those players were. I know I've got two. The third one,
I've got one.
The third one's a pure guess. But
for anybody that came in late, just a quick reminder, that was the question. Like, you named the 3 players who've scored on their debut at Tynecastle this century. But there you go. That's
a spark. This is a spark. This is a chance to come in and state a place. This is going to be a battle tomorrow, and it will get him up to speed at what Celtic's all about. A game away from home, for the team that's top of the league, McInnes's team, who, I think he's rode his luck. He's got every opportunity to make himself known to the fans and become an instant hero. So yeah, start the big man. Let's see what he's got. He's struggled lately with his move to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and then Turkish mob. Didn't he set the header alight there as well? Okay, but if there is something about this boy, let's see him. And I heard that he played against Celtic before. He played with that.
Played for Jablonec. Yeah, Jablonec in 2021 against us.
Do you remember him at that point at all?
No, we won quite comfortably out in the Czech Republic, and then the second leg, and we came on late in the game. We'd already pretty much won the tie at that point, but yeah, it was he featured in that. They did play a little clip on the Jerry McCulloch interview. They did play a little clip, and you asked him, "What do you remember of that night?" Asked him all these types of things, but yeah, he does have experience of playing against us. So but I don't remember him doing anything I know. And his goal record before the Mönchengladbach move was pretty good. But hey, Martin O'Neill has had a track record over the years of taking players that have got a point to prove, that maybe have been put on the scrap heap, maybe been written off after a couple of poor seasons, and he gets the best out of them. The concern is, of course, he's only got 4 months to do it now. It's a very small window to fill it out. But Martin O'Neill, he's got the track record there. A couple of comments on Van Karas, as Lauren saying the confidence was ripping out of him in the interviews. Please release him on Sunday. So Gary has also said the big man is a certain starter. And Joe Henry adding that the ball getting pinged into the box, Martin O'Neill style. So that's what I hope to see. Hope to see it. But yeah, in terms of like the rest of the team on Sunday, looking at some of the options, Hatate, does he get punished for his misdemeanors? I think he's got this. I think he will sit it out on Sunday. I know the suspension is for European games, but I think Martin O'Neill, I know he's obviously defended him, and Martin O'Neill even took a booking for his for sticking up for him as well, Johnny. But I think Hatate, he will be put to the side, and it will probably be Liegren coming in and starting with Engels and McGregor in the middle.
I think there's every chance, because Martin might want to, with the tie being suspended for next Thursday, I think he might want to try and play the same midfield on Sunday that he intends to play Thursday. But the tie's not available. So yeah, I think it'll be, of the options available, if the tie's not playing, I think your options are what McCowan, Bernardo, who's probably not got. He's at best he'll come off the bench as far as he's concerned. That's his best option or best chance, shall we say? So you're probably right with that. I think he'll probably be that midfield. It's going to be a difficult, because I think. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to. I think Hearts have obviously, they're pretty decimated from what I can gather down here on the. Two of the main players are out, as we spoke about before we came on. That I think what we've all been predicting would happen to Hearts is now starting to bear fruit or come to reality. I think they're going to struggle now with the injuries and the suspension. I think they've got 5 players that aren't going to be, who have been playing regular all season, are not going to be available to them on Saturday, either through injury or suspension. So I think that's really starting to hit home to Hearts now, and I think they might drop away. So because normally the last few times we played at Hearts, they've come at us like a bat out of hell. And they've really come at the blocks. And
it's always a hostile ground to play at.
Yeah,
it always is.
But, they've really come at us aggressively and fast and almost blown us away in the first 20 to 25 minutes. Maybe not scoreline wise, but they put us on the back foot. Certainly in the last game, they pretty much kept us there. So I think we need to have players in there who are going to be able to stand up to that in the first 20 minutes or so. Because I can see it being that way. Well, I'm not going to see the game at all. I'm going to be at work, but I fully expect to hear that's how the game's gone. That the first 20 minutes, Hearts have come out the blocks flying to try and put a stamp on the game, and we might have to battle our way back into it.
Now, the last visit to Tynecastle, Dane Murray obviously had a complete meltdown in the first 10, 15 minutes, scoring an own goal, trying to hook it off the line and booted it right in his own net. And we just didn't start well. Well, to be fair, did we not equalise like 5 minutes later? But it was early in the second half. We just capitulated, didn't we? It was the winger from the Greek winger out wide cut in to deflect it. No, Dave Murray stood out the way. Then they conceded the penalty like minutes later. So we have got to avoid that, obviously. But I say the atmosphere at Tynecastle can get to you. It really can. We talked about Ibrox being a hard place for a player to make their debut. Tynecastle is one of the toughest atmospheres because of the way it's built and how steep those stands are. But in terms of Liam, talking about Hearts injury problems, what do you make of the headlines though that they've instantly went out and made some signings? Imagine that. What a novel concept, Liam. You've got a few injury problems, a few holes that you need to fix. Rather than put a square peg in that round hole, you go out and find a round peg for the round hole and you actually try and fix it. Imagine having a board and a hierarchy that do those types of things, Liam. We can only dream of such things.
I'm surprised your board haven't put in a protest. I mean, are they allowed to do that?
Are they allowed to do that? You can't do that. Come on.
No, your board was out getting pissed in Bologna last night by the looks of it.
Seen the video, yeah, seen it.
Oh, I mean, it just goes to show you the state that we're in right now. It's an atrociously difficult window. If your CEO is a mute, that just like he's just there for the crack. That's it now. He's not even trying. Doesn't even care about the optics. And going out and signing players that you actually need for positions. Not just Hearts, Rangers will be doing the same thing. You can slag them all you like, but we've not stepped up, and we're still not delivering what Martin needs. And I think that's terrible. This board has given us an absolute showing up when it comes to that. Now, they may come with a big flourish at the end, but it's the end. It's always this. It's always this too late. It looks like we start our business on the 3rd of January. It's like, okay, everybody back. First days, everybody's back. How's your holiday and all that? We'll start it properly tomorrow. But let's have a big meeting first. Right, so they go for a meeting first. Okay, that was a good meeting. We'll have a big lunch. By that time, the day's nearly done. Right, tomorrow, get the books out, start looking at some names, argue a few names. Right, tomorrow we'll start the phoning. Next, it's the weekend, and I don't think they work weekends. This idea that they work 24/7 around the clock, obviously they're not. We're the signings, and we've been linked with a bunch of guys, but it's never down the road. It's always we're opening talks, or we're approaching, or we're that. It's
monitoring, yes.
Monitoring.
We've asked to be kept informed. I'll give you a phone call. Oh, we've just sold him to whoever,
So, I mean, good for them for doing what needs to be done and absolutely showing them up that, no, it's a difficult window if you make it a difficult window. And, keep the window open after the end of this month, and that board should go right through it, right out the window as well. A lot of them. Although I'll give them their due. They did launch a really nice app yesterday.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
Being far away and not getting all the news that I get. I downloaded the Celtic FC official app, mobile app, and I was actually surprised. It's actually quite good. And then double my surprise, I looked up in the corner and there was I thought, oh, there's my wee nephew up there, Shea O'Dowd. I'm thinking, oh, they must be showing you like who in your contact books has signed up, and I clicked on it. No, it was a full-on interview where I made one Scottish new musician of the year or something, and my family even told me. And there was an interview for a month ago, and I was really happy to watch that. So I watched that rather than McGregor's interview or Jerry's new one with the new player, just to see my wee nephew doing well and showing their family how good Celtic supporters. Celtic side anyway.
Well, there you go. A ringing endorsement for the Celtic app. I didn't think I would do. Well, while we're sort of giving the board some light praise here for stuff they've done, Johnny, can I shock you with this one and look at it from a different angle? Obviously, Fanchara came in this week and it kind of came out of nowhere. And we were hearing these stories about they're working away in the background. Do you think I don't know if it was even the benefit of the doubt, because obviously it's still moving very slowly, but the very fact that this name came out of nowhere, we've been seeing a lot of the same names, like we just said there, we're getting linked to a lot of names, but it seems to just swirl round and go nowhere. But then this one just drops out of nowhere, and it's like, so it just shows that maybe, just maybe, there is a glimmer of hope that they are working in the background, and see a lot of the media are just guessing with a lot of things, because nobody really called that one until it was very, very late in the day. It's not like 3 weeks ago we saw this boy's name come up and then it dragged and dragged and dragged, like Balakisha, for example. Well, that was 18 months worth of dragging. But yeah, this one just literally came out of it. I think it was like a 3-day sort of turnaround when his name first appeared, and then he was a Celtic player. So do you think there's any hope that they are, or is this just a random bit of luck that they just pulled this one out from nowhere, Johnny?
I think we've got to hope that something's changing. But I mean, we've always said when we were on the Bhoys bus and then over here, we've always said that the Celtic board are a reactionary board.
Yeah.
They react to what Rangers do basically when we got Rodgers back in 2016 and whatnot. but we haven't been reacting to what they've been doing. I've not been paying a lot of attention. I think they've signed about 4 or 5 players, and they may be duds, they may be great. Nobody knows. I've got no idea whatsoever. But they've signed about 5 players, like I said, Harps, a couple of injuries, a couple of guys that replace them, and we've sort of been sitting on our hands doing not a great deal, it would seem. But, we've, what is it, the 23rd of January, and we've signed 2 players, both on loan. And to be fair, I don't think we'll sign any permanent signings in January because it's the short-term planning that we've now currently got with Martin being here till the end of the season. And I sometimes wonder if Martin was up for it, whether we'd be just as well saying, why don't we make it to the end of next season, Martin, and let's have some not long-term but sort of mid-term sort of planning rather than just from now to the end of the season. I don't know whether that would be feasible for Martin, whether he fancies it. I think is he 74 before the end of the season?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think he is. So 73, he's been reported announced. I believe he is 74 soon.
I don't know if we fancy that for next season, but I don't think we're going to make any permanent signings, which is why I've never really bought into this one that when they were doing the rounds, talking about Fofana from Chelsea.
Yeah, that's another name that's been swirling around for a while.
That's going to be wherever he ends up going. And I do think the 2 teams that I've seen mentioned were Celtic and Derby, and I thought I'd like to think if he actually had that choice in reality, he would pick Celtic over Derby. But you never know. But the fact that they're now looking to do a permanent deal to get him off their books, I think rules him out for us. I don't think we're going to do any permanent deals. If we're going to have any more, they're going to be loan signings. There might be loan signings with options to buy. I don't think they're going to, because there's a young lad from Crystal Palace, isn't there, they've been talking about?
Yeah, I've heard that one coming up as well. But I've always been the same opinion, John, when it comes to a loan deal. See if there's an option to buy on it. I don't have too much of an issue with it because you're trying before you buy, essentially.
But Crystal Palace want an obligation to buy with this lad.
An obligation to buy, right?
Yeah,
okay.
They want an obligation to buy, which is a different matter because you're talking about potentially a new manager at the very least next season. Potentially, I mean, I would keep Maloney and Fozzie in place. I know we've talked in the past about manager coming in. We've just foisted Kennedy and Strachan and whatnot on top of them. But I think a lot of the issues there was they weren't very popular with the Celtic supporters anyway. Yeah. Whereas I think at the minute Maloney and Fozzie have got a bit of they've got some credit in the bank. So we might a new manager coming. So let's just say it's a new manager and these 2 stay on. And I think Fozzie should definitely be staying on because
I would definitely keep them.
Twice he's answered the call now, and I don't know whether he had any other irons in the fire or whether he was keeping Martin's coffee warm down on the King's Road. I don't know. But twice he's answered the call. Maloney, he was different. He was already in situ, so it's a case of we're not asking him up there, showing you that's what you're going to do that. It's like any other workplace. So as long as it's a reasonable request, you can't really say no. And it's within your remit, or not remit, but within your skill set. And I reckon the coaching's definitely within his skill set. So, but yeah, so whether we sign, we need a new winger, obviously. This is where the lad from Crystal Palace comes in. But we'll have to do a lot of sweet talking to get him, I think, because of what Palace's demands are. And Palace are in a strong position there, and I think he's actually just returned from a loan in Holland, isn't he, that lad?
Yeah, I think so. But Palace are kind of, everything's going a bit chaotic at Palace right now with their manager winding down and Gahey's left. They obviously sold Eze at the start of the season. Mateta said he's leaving at the end of the season. They seem to be in a bit of turmoil right now.
I mean, they're in a strong position financially.
Financially, yeah.
So they don't. If they want to hold out for $8 million on an obligation to buy, then that's what they'll do. I would imagine, depending on the amount of interest. But so a bit like Cherry, I kind of forgot what we were originally talking about there.
Sorry, no, we're talking about transfers. We're talking about the lack of transfers, essentially. Liam.
But what I do like about the big guy lad we just put in is Martin did say, I think it was earlier this week or last week, he will have the final say on anybody who comes in.
Yeah,
now to the end of the season. So we brought this guy in. So you've got to think Martin's seen something there that he's happy
Well,
with.
Martin said a few times that
he likes.
he's had quite a lot of players presented to him essentially as options, and he's said no to quite a lot. So, again, we just have to take Martin O'Neill at his word. There's nothing, we just have to believe what he's saying essentially. But yeah, how many players has he said no to? The one guy that we know that he was in proximity of recently, Liam, and the names came up in the chat, is a Mazwanishi of Motherwell. Now, what is the play here from Celtic with the Stevie Welsh move? Because now Celtic have used him in a game last week. So he can only for the rest of this season, he can only play for Celtic or Motherwell. Have Celtic just shot themselves in the foot and have Motherwell chased us and said, nah, he's not for sale, even though you have taken Stevie Welsh back? If that was the plan, that we were going to use Welsh plus cash to get Mazwanishi. But again, you look at the timeline of events, we recall Stevie Welsh, and then last week, randomly, when we don't have Motherwell on the calendar anytime soon, Martin O'Neill and Fozzie go to Fir Park to watch Motherwell play in the Scottish Cup. And funny enough, Mazwanishi scores the winner as well that day. And yeah, but it's gone a bit quiet there. There's also rumours as well that Rangers might be circling on that one. We'll wait and see there. But have Celtic shot themselves on the foot here, try to be a bit, play a bit of 4D chess with the whole taking Stevie Welsh back and sort of using it as a carrot, and maybe Motherwell have just been like, no, because funny enough, there's a comment not long after one from Warren saying Motherwell have said that Mazwanishi isn't leaving this window. Is this one going to run all the way to deadline day? Is it going to be a tug of war between Celtic and Rangers? How do you think that one's going to play out, Liam?
Well, that's an odd one, isn't it? I mean, see the optics in that one as well. When you actually see your manager and one of the staff, we have known that they're scouting players, sitting in the stands, watching them. And I think if that's a player Martin wants, and we're effing about, just no pulling the trigger on it, that's a dangerous game to play. That's our board just being absolute dicks again about things. Holding out for 500,000, $1 million, whatever it is. Being able to throw Stephen Welsh in the deal. I mean, Stephen Welsh wasn't even that great against like Talbot. We played him in that game, so maybe we're trying to see if they miss him more than we need the other boy. I'd like to think if Martin wants to make a play for him, he'll go for him. The only thing I'm wondering is another player that's playing. Who's the player that's playing in the midfield? Is Elliot?
Yeah, did he? No, that's the other boy. You mean Elliot Watt? He scored the second goal against us where Kasper Schmeichel made a mess of Elliot Watt. Yeah.
Right. I've been watching him, like when I watch some of the Motherwell highlights, and he's always been a player that sort of stuck out and looked good as well. And I've seen that, I think he's played for Scotland B, although I think he's from England originally. But, maybe that's the player they're looking for as well. Maybe showed up the midfield somehow. But, yeah, I'd like to think if Martin wants that player, the board have to just game him. But, maybe he's waiting to see if there's another player on the peripheral that Martin really wants. And he can come in and he can fill that role. But I think that's the same player we see in the African Nations Cup.
Mazwanishi played in the African Nations Cup. He was playing for Zimbabwe.
He was highlighted,
yeah.
So he was highlighted. I think he won, or he had accolades like the young players team of the tournament or that. Because I've seen that pop up in my feed as well this week, and I'm thinking, oh, that's the same guy. That's the Motherwell boy. Seen him up in the Zimbabwe strip. Yeah, he's got to go for him, right? And I don't know. We just got to fill the team some. I see the Canadian. Just seen in the chat, people saying the Canadian boy that's playing in Croatia. His name's coming up.
Oh, is it back again? Right, okay.
He's pretty well a left back, and we've got loads of left backs right now. It's hard to figure out which one we want to use. And still Johnson coming back, but I hope this boy that we brought in, Plancharo, is who Martin really wanted. That maybe it came down to then he made a decision. He says, "No, get me this boy." He wanted to have a look at this boy first, and hopefully, I hope Rangers don't get him and he stays at Motherwell, because we need Motherwell to play a spoiler. We need them to stay strong, and maybe give them Welsh back as well at the end of the window if nothing happens, because we certainly don't need them. But if it gives them a chance to take points up at Hearts and Rangers, I think they'll be one of the spoiler teams that will help us get us through this year. If it, as long as we can win our head-to-heads, that'll be the difference.
Well,
who can
Lauren in
Motherwell
the
take points
comments
to?
here has added this, Liam, about Masvanisi. He only played 90 minutes at the whole AFCON and got the most promising talent award of the tournament. There has to be a player there, and if not, he's half the price of Balakisha, who was also at that tournament and got destroyed by the DR Congo fans but they blamed him for them getting eliminated. He lost the ball, he didn't track back or something. So as we play there, and there's another name that came up. Graham Tyrrell had it. That boy Elijah Just. Yeah, he's been a New Zealander. Yeah, he's been quite good for Motherwell.
He really caught my eye in the game when they beat us 2-1, and I just wonder. I was just going to say that. I just wonder if maybe Martin caught Martin's eye as well, and he was maybe there having another look at him because he did look. I mean, I know it was only one game; it's the only time I've seen him play, but he really caught the eye and thought, "Oh, he looks a player." But I don't know if he's. I heard them talking about a couple of other players. I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was him, but he's not that young actually. He's about 25 or 26, I think, isn't he?
There was a game at the start of the season, maybe the second or the third week, where Motherwell were 3-0 up at Tynecastle and Hearts recovered to get a free each draw. But he was excellent in that game. Like, that was the first time I'd seen his name popping up this season about the hype around him. Elijah Just, and I assumed he was like a youngster, but no, he is like in his mid-20s. So he isn't like, he's just a youth player that's came out, but he's a New Zealander. He's another one as well. So Motherwell are doing bits this season in terms of some of the talent they've got. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. And I said that to Terry a couple of weeks ago when we were doing the post-match on the Auchinleck game about the no smoke without fire. Why was Martin O'Neill there with Fozzie? We're not playing Motherwell anytime soon in the fixture list, so they weren't scouting Motherwell as a upcoming opponent. Let's see how they play. They must have been there watching somebody. So most people are thinking it's going to be Masvanisi, but we've just said there could be other players that have caught the eye, so we just need to wait and see. But for the time being, with one player in, Martin was asked today, are you hoping to get anybody in before Sunday? I don't think many Celtic fans would be expecting that one, to be fair, and he just said that no, nobody before Sunday, but next week, obviously it's the last week of the window. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, but he kept using again that word. He hopes that we'll see more. Yes, you're not the only one, Martin. We certainly hope as well. But anyway, in terms of the game then on Sunday, in terms of some of the players who are going to start, we were kind of unanimous then. We would have Van Chara starting through the middle. We would throw him in there. So put Maeda back out wide. And Tynecastle, what have you made, Liam, of Tynecastle recently in his performances? Is coming back to the AFCON and say he's been very high on his work he's been doing with Big Fozzie. And he's still wee issues there with the end product and whatnot. But we saw last week against Auchinleck, regardless of the level of Auchinleck Talbot, it was still a hell of a finish. And that's what we need to see more of. Cutting inside, if it opens up for you, have a shot at goal. Don't cut inside and then it opens up and then you just pass it sideways, just pass it back the way. Try and test the goalkeeper. We need to see more of that from Tynecastle if he starts on Sunday, Liam.
Well, he's also, at one point, he got very one-dimensional where his only move was cutting inside. And when he originally started with us, he was driving to the byline and putting it across. Martin and the coaching staff seem to have brought that back into his game as well. He didn't do it last night against superior opposition, but we've seen him do it again, and he's got the assists to prove it. Those games where we were winning with Martin, when he came back into the fold, to get us back into the race again, I think Tynecastle was very good at that. He was very good at driving to the back byline. Him and Tierney were getting a lot of joy, both taking turns doing that. One would either cut in and one would take it deep. Yeah, let's see what he's like it there. I think he's really good. He's a really good asset to have in there. And I think if we can get him with the confidence, with Fozzie and all that, and he gets a few more goals, I think you've got a half decent player there. Would I start him over Maeda? No, I thought Maeda was brilliant the other night. I thought he was really good.
Maeda was fantastic last night, no doubt about it. But then you get Yang. What do we do with Yang right now? Do we go
Yang's
to
been good as well.
Maeda, Yang? So,
Yang's been good as well. So, it's the first time we've had a problem now where we're actually looking, we've got people competing for places.
Yeah.
So, I would give Maeda the first half and let's see which Maeda shows up. And then we've got the big boy starting in the middle and let's see how he does. I don't want to see him yanked up at half time, if he hasn't hit the net or anything yet. But let's see how he comes into a game, and then maybe if we have to, we can bring Maeda on for Tynecastle, or even put him over in the place of Yang right now, and see what we get. I think it's a good problem to have right now. I mean, that's the whole thing about a refresh and bringing in new players and all that. You get that excitement. I don't think we're going to see Balaklisha. I don't think he's in Mark's plans at all.
No.
And you can see why. He seems to reek of a Paul Tisdale signing. A guy where there wasn't a lot of thought put into the boy's character. There wasn't a lot of thought brought into, could this guy really do it in Scottish football? You know, he might have had his data or whatever might come across looking like he's a player or not, but but no in a Celtic jersey. Maybe we could put him in a trade with Motherwell, because he looks more a Motherwell player than he does a Celtic player. But so for the weekend, yeah, I think Tynecastle offers a lot, but not in the place of Maeda.
Yeah, that's fair dues. And Johnny, are we back on the Kasper Schmeichel train for the goalkeeper? Because Tynecastle did get a chance last week. I know Auchinleck didn't really pressure as much, but there was a couple of wee heart and mouth moments. He flapped it across at a free kick and was in no man's land for it. And I think it was we had to scramble it clear at the back post. And there was a moment late in the second half where, he's got the ball at his feet and he just hesitates for quite a while and then, just nearly gets closed down. So Tynecastle, I say, I've been very much like, this guy needs to start getting a chance. But yeah, a bit like Paulo Bernardo, he does get a chance and then it's like, I don't know now. I mean, Schmeichel obviously shouldn't be here next season. We should definitely be looking to have a new number one goalkeeper then. But for the time being, Johnny, would it be Schmeichel for you in this one, even though, say, Tynecastle with the atmosphere, we've seen how Scottish fans have particularly been getting right on top of Kasper Schmeichel ever since that game against Denmark. But yeah, it's got to be Schmeichel, isn't it, on a Sunday, Johnny?
Yeah, I think it shows you how things have changed. A couple of weeks ago, I think they asked the same question. I can't remember what game it was before we played, and all three of us said Tynecastle has to come in.
Yep.
And he didn't. But I think at that time, if Schmeichel had been taken out and Tynecastle put in, I don't think Schmeichel could have had. I mean, he may well have done anyway, but I don't think he could have really justified having too much to say about it. I think if he didn't play on Sunday after last night's performance, I think he'd be justified in knocking on the door and asking a few questions. So I don't think there's really any. On this occasion, I don't think there's any debate as to who plays on Sunday. That's Schmeichel, and I don't think anybody can really see too much against that choice. That's my opinion anyway. I think Schmeichel has to start on Saturday. I mean, he's a big boy. I mean, he's 39. He's played in some hostile environments. He's played in the Premier League. He's played. Where did he go after Leicester? He went to France.
Yep.
So I mean, he's a big lad. He's a big boy. And he's experienced enough to deal with a few shouts. I'm quite sure he's more than capable of giving it back. So Schmeichel, I don't really. Temperament-wise, I don't think I've got any concerns about him. And I think after last night's performance, he deserves to keep his place. I mean, I'd be well pissed off myself if it was me and I got taken out after that performance, with nothing really showing. We haven't seen from Tynecastle what we hoped we might see when he did get a chance. And I know he didn't get a chance against what you would call high caliber opposition and really given the opportunity to show what he could do. Livingston and Talbot. Livingston rattled two past him. I don't actually blame him for the two goals against Talbot. I mean, they were well-picked shots, and I don't think the defensive was whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, the boy ran in for Livingston about 7 yards out and just blasted it full pelt at him. There was very little he could do. And
I don't think that guy scored 2 goals in the same game ever in his life. In fact, he might not have even scored 2 goals in his career. He was a fullback, wasn't he? Left back.
Yeah, right back. Yeah.
Right back. Yeah. So, so no, it's Schmeichel in goals on Sunday. It has to be.
Definitely. Well, in the subject of right back, I mean, we'd expect, Liam, that Arojo comes back in. Julian Arojo will come back. But obviously we saw last night, how good was Kobe Donovan? Again, that's not the first time this season we came away from a European game. I remember when we played Belgrade, Red Star Belgrade early in the tournament, and again he was mature. He was very commanding that night, and just it didn't feel out of place to have like was he 19 years old. And yeah, I thought last night again Donovan. So when it comes to the whole right, Aro, he'll come in and start. Johnston's obviously still a good while away from fitness, but to me, it's like if you're going to be rotating Arojo out at any point of subbing him off, Donovan, surely he has to be the option more than Ralston these days, man.
Well, it's an interesting because Ralston's trying to play for a Scotland spot as well. So it's an interesting to see how Martin's going to manage that position. Knowing that, we've got holes out of the park, but in that position we're absolutely stacked. We've got Johnson coming back in March, so it'll be interesting to see. I don't even know if that's one of the players you want to loan out for a year, because he's one of these players that seems to develop better in the team.
Yeah.
Who knows what a year at St Johnstone or Livingston or something would do to him, if that would help him. We've seen us loan players out before like that and they've just sort of disappeared. Ralston was a classic example. Every time he got loaned out, he showed absolutely nothing to even bring him back. But playing in the Celtic team, he played much better. I think we start with, I think he might go with Royal, and then or Rocco, as some people pronounce it, but I don't know where the C comes from. Only because I think it's going to be a battle. I think you get Derek McInnes, his squad is depleted, and I think he'll go back to plan B, which is just kick guys off the park. We've seen it with his teams before, where it could end up becoming they'll try and stop us playing rather than playing the football that everybody's been crediting them for, because they don't have the players to do that now. Unless one of the new players comes in and lights it up.
Aye.
But I think it's a toss-up. But the fact that he sat him out against Talbot, the fact that he was on the bench, he didn't travel to the European game. I think you've got a guy that's fresh legs coming in. And I think after that battle we just went through, I think, okay, some of these fresh legs that you can get on the park is going to help us. And he seems to got an engine about him. If there's a battle, I don't think he'll have any problem with that. Just have to watch him getting a red card. I think he'll start Hitachi as well. I think Hitachi did well in that first half, and I think he did everything that Martin asked him to do. The first yellow card, that was a really bad ball for Schmeichel. It was right up the park, and it was nowhere near him, and he had to battle for it and lost it, and it was too short on that. And Schmeichel, he's still got a few of the clangers in him. When it comes to stopping shots, he's great. But long range and his distribution through the back's got worse this year. So
big time.
So I don't know if Hitachi should be punished for that. And I think as well with these Japanese players as well, I think they really, when they make mistakes in that, they take it to heart. And I think there's a really strong urgency to get back in the good books and that. And I think you'll see a revived Hitachi if he plays in that position, because I really don't want to see Engels playing. Not Engels, Negrin.
Negrin, even though he pops up with goals.
He pops up with goals, but I thought he was really poor when he was coming on. When he came on last night, I thought
we were doing 10 men though. We were up against it.
Yeah, you don't know what Negrin you're going to get. The one that cares or the one that said, as I said before, come IKEA. Once he's out of the box, he's shite. It's great in the box, but doesn't do much outside it.
He's a very polarising figure. He could easily appear on Sunday and score the winning goal, or he could have an absolute clanger. It's a really tough one with that. But again, the numbers do not lie. If we didn't have his goals, then where would we be this season? It's a scary thought when you think about it. I saw something on Twitter the other week saying, is he on course to be the worst top goal scorer for a season for Celtic? And I was racking my brain and being like, the only one I think that might come close is maybe Andy Payton in the mid-90s. He scored 15 goals in a season and was our top goal scorer in 93. And it's like, because after that, our top scorers every season were guys like Van Hooijdonk, Cadet, Larson, Sutton, Hearts, and these are the type of names. But yeah, you have to go back to the mid-90s. I think it was like Andy Payton was the 1993 top goal scorer for us. So yeah, Negron is, his numbers right now are in that territory of being a top scorer this season. I don't see many other players making a spot for the top of the top of the scorer chart for us. So yeah, but again, you take away his goals right now, where would we be? We would be struggling big time. But before we go and do our predictions and do the old curse of the commentator, we know how that can backfire. We'll do the trivia answer, because obviously I did a wee trivia question at the start of the show. And let's get the graphic up again. So it was, obviously, in relating to this fixture this weekend, can you name the 3 Celtic players who've scored on their debut at Tynecastle this century? So from the year 2000 to present day, there are 3 players who have made their debut for Celtic at Tynecastle and have scored that day. So Liam, Johnny, you've got any answers for me?
Yeah, I've got.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, I've got the obvious one, Scott Sinclair.
Yes, okay. Scott Sinclair, Brendan Rodgers, 2016, his first game that season. Yep.
I'm going to go with another one, although I think, I don't know whether you're including this one or not, but Carl Starfelt?
No.
Own goal?
That was that not against Alkmaar?
No, it was Hearts. Sure it
but
was.
I wouldn't count it because it would be for Celtic. It would be an actual Celtic goal.
Oh, you never specified that, Phil.
I'm pretty sure Starfelt had played before that, though, didn't he? No, he came in that against Hearts, but I don't think he scored their own goal that night. I think it was against Alkmaar in the European game. I'm certain but it doesn't count anyway. It's not an answer.
No, it doesn't count anyway. All right, okay, fair dues. No, I'll let Liam go. His one's now.
I know the second one because it was one of the best Thunder Bastard shots. Copyright Phil McGinley. I've seen in a long time, and that was the one where Hatate nearly tore Craig Gordon's arm off.
Hatate is an incorrect answer.
Incorrect.
Hatate's debut was against Hibs on a Monday night. His first goal was at Tynecastle, but he made his debut against Hibs on a Monday night. Yeah.
I'll give you one more guess, and it's only because I'm trying to think of players that scored on the debut, and I'm thinking maybe in the COVID season, was it Shane Duffy?
No, it wasn't Shane Duffy. Hearts won in the Premier League in the COVID season. They were in the Championship. The 3 answers that you seek, and people have got it in the chat. The 3 answers were Aidan McGeady in 2004 came off the bench as a youth player and scored at Tynecastle. Timu Pukki in August of 2013 is a correct answer. He signed from Schalke and came off the bench at Tynecastle in a 3-1 victory and scored the 3rd goal, I think, that day. And Scott Sinclair, which you already got. But I've seen some people in the chat have already got it. Let's have a wee look if I can find anybody. Graham Tyrrell was guessing Guidetti, but no, Guidetti, did he score in this debut? I can't remember who he scored against. But I remember him scoring a few. At Tynecastle, to be fair. But yeah, maybe Van Chara will add himself to that list. But yeah, this century,
he's a number 11, Phil. Same number as Scott Sinclair.
So he is actually number 11. Aye. Also, Paradise 04 and Samaras. His name Samaras scored in his debut against Kilmarnock, where he ran up the right byline or the right sideline and cut inside and just passed it into the net with his left foot. Fantastic goal. I think he did a very similar goal just almost a year later at Rugby Park as well. But yeah, that's your 3 that have scored on their debut. And hopefully Van Chara can add himself to that one this weekend. But guys, we need to do predictions. Oh Jesus, this is always the hard bit. With the way this season's going, who even knows anymore? What's even going to happen? Wise man, give us some knowledge. Wise man, make us feel better. How's it going to go on Sunday?
I'm confident. I'm confident in this one. I think this game that we just had is what we needed. We needed a battle. We came out of it. We survived, and so it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. And I think you're ready to kill Hearts. I think Derek McInnes, his luck has run out. I just like the man. I just like his team. It's like everything about him. I want to see us come out and just destroy them. And I think we're due. We're due a big win in a game we need to win. And I think you're going to see 3-0 at Tynecastle. I'm saying it now. Don't tell me the drugs don't work.
Johnny, what do you think on Sunday then? How's it going to go?
This is a tough one because at the end of the day, like I said, we touched on it earlier on, when Hearts, I reckon, are going to be -5 of the regular players because Hearts have been able to, we talked about it earlier on, but Hearts have been able to play a pretty settled team from the start of the season, and now the suspensions and injuries are starting to catch up with them. But I think we go there with the right attitude, and I'm sure Martin O'Neill will send them out, make sure they've got the right attitude. I reckon, at least 2-0. Yeah, I reckon 2-0 for us. I reckon a win, because at the end of the day, we desperately need to make sure we win this game. We've got to win this.
I know. We have to.
That we've just got to win. I mean, at all costs. We've got to win. So I think we'll be up for it. I think we'll be up for the battle, like you said there, Liam. If anybody's going to motivate any team, it's going to be Martin O'Neill, and 2-0. 2-0, and Big Tam scoring them both in the first half.
Oh, nice. Okay, big thing to say, etching himself into the bit of trivia. Thank you as well to JM for the donation. Thanks very much. I appreciate it massively. Right. Oh, God. I think the last time we went to Tynecastle, my prediction at the time was a very scrappy, ugly game that we would grind out and win 1-0. So I'm going to just go with that again. I think it's going to be a battle, like a proper turgid game of football. I don't think either team's going to be dazzling on the day, but I think we're just have to batten down the hatches. I agree with what you said earlier on, Johnny. I think the first 20 minutes is going to be a bit of a siege. They're going to come at the traps flying, going to try and get in our faces, be aggressive, and it's up to us to just stand up to it. Right now, Martin O'Neill hasn't conceded a goal in open play domestically, 2 penalties domestically with Rangers and Hibs in his first interim stint. We need to obviously just stand up to it, but that run will come to an end eventually. Somebody's going to score in open play against us, but hopefully it's on Sunday. But I'm going to go with a very cagey 1-0 victory for Celtic, but a win is a win at this stage, because you're right, we just need to find a way to win it, because going 9 points behind at this stage, plus you've got the added factor of Rangers are in the title race. There's a 3-team title race. You cannot at this stage afford to be dropping that far back. So I'll go for a very, very cagey 1-0 victory, but it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be one of the days, maybe hiding behind the couch type of viewing, but hopefully come the end of it, we're all happy with the result. But Terry will be back, of course, on Sunday for the post-match show. So again, hopefully that will be a joyous one. Hopefully we'll be talking about a victory. But regardless, win, lose or draw, we'll still be here anyway for whatever the future may hold with this result. But we're going to head off now, folks. That's an hour and 12 minutes we've done. Liam, thanks as always for being on. Johnny, good to see you again. Thanks everybody as well for dropping in the chat tonight. Keep this company and giving us some of your banter and whatnot. And we shall head off now. So enjoy the game on Sunday, and come back here on Sunday evening for the post-match show. And we shall catch you then, folks. And little more needs to be said, guys, other than just need to go and get it done. Celtic need to just go and get it done. Right, we'll see you on Sunday, folks. Cheers.
Cheers.